So today we're going to work with the lower spine, the lower back. We're going to be working with the arms and legs. We're going to be working with the diaphragm, going to be working with the lungs and the brain. I will be teaching holographic breathing, which is, if you're new, just learning that is just a major thing. And I will just describe that quickly, but I will describe it more fully later and demonstrate it later. So in holographic breathing, the breath is through the nose, the lips are relaxed and closed, the upper surface of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and with all that in place, on the in-breath the jaw is gently opening, and on the out-breath the jaw is gently closing. I wouldn't advise to try the movement of the jaw just yet because it's counterintuitive, but you can just have your lips closed, have the upper surface of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and breathe through the nose just to get used to that. You can do that through while I'm talking, and then we'll go into a guided meditation where we'll open the movement through the jaw. And then when that's going and this breathing motion opens through the whole body, every cell starts breathing once that starts going. We'll be initiating that movement of the breath through the arms and legs. We'll be connecting that from the legs to the lower spine. So there's a breathing motion in the feet, a breathing motion in the legs, there's a breathing motion through the pelvis, and that all rises up into the lumbar vertebrae and spreads a bit higher into the thoracic vertebrae. And two of the major muscles that connect the energies and movement from the legs and pelvis to the spine are the quadratus muscles, which are from the top of the pelvis at the back, and they rise up and inwards and join to the lower loose ribs, but as it goes up connects to the sides of every vertebrae. Bits of it come up and it connects to every vertebrae. And then forwards from that, on the inside, you've got the psoas muscle, which comes from behind the hip joint, forwards, kind of up the front of the pelvis and back to the spine, and lays in front of the quadratus muscle and connects into the spine. I'm going to show you pictures of those two muscles because they're majorly how we'll be starting the movement of the breath in the spine. So I'm just going to use my old anatomy book because my new anatomy book is just not made of paper. It's so heavy. It's about 5 times as heavy as my original falling to pieces anatomy book. So here we have a rather nice picture, and this is kind of the inside of the abdomen. You can see all of these big muscles in the back, and you've got the pelvic floor down here. This is the psoas muscle. Can you see how it comes from the back of this bone here at the top of the leg, comes over the front of the pelvis, then treks back and then runs up, connecting into the spine. And then behind it at each side you've got the quadratus muscles, which are coming from the top of the pelvis and connecting to the very bottom ribs, but also So it's going in. You can't see it because the psoas muscles in front of it connecting to every vertebrae. So you may not experience this, and I'm certainly not going to emphasize it with beginners in the group. But with holographic breathing, and definitely when you're including the hands, feet, arms and legs, there's a tensing of the muscles that open the diaphragm, that opens the ribs, that opens the abdomen. The ability to breathe in, the majority of the muscles are tightening. And then on the out-breath, the majority of the muscles are relaxing. And the muscles that aren't actually shortening, maybe the muscles of the abdomen are expanding a bit on the in-breath, but they're not just relaxing, it's a controlled, there's a tension in them as they're being pressed open, and there's an attention in them, or it is actually more of a relaxation on the out-breath. But as you're breathing in, you know, muscles that would seem to expand, it's not just, oh, we're relaxed, they're holding and slowly opening. And what this means for the spine, so here's the psoas muscle from the quadratus muscle from the back. Can you see that? Now it's mirror image to me. Can you see from the top of the pelvis here, the quadratus muscle running up to the bottom 3 ribs there? Can you see how it runs in to joins to every vertebra, and it's angled in like this, and then that continues up. The muscles of the ribs are all angled in to the spine, and as the quadratus muscle tightens, in effect it's pulling the spine down. And as all of these muscles in the back of the ribs tighten to lift the ribs up, they're not just pulling the ribs up, there's an equal and opposite power. If you're lifting something up, there's the same effort of pulling something down. So they're pulling into the spine, to the side of the spine, and then there's more muscles running from the side of the spine to the center of the spine. This is giving a condensing or a tightening of the whole length of the spine. And the same is happening in the neck to pull the top ribs up into the neck. So what you get is a condensing of the spine on the in-breath, then a lengthening of the spine as it all relaxes on the out-breath. Now, I'm not going to say I feel that beautifully. I feel my spine contracting and everything opening. I feel my spine lengthening and everything narrowing. And I think that's how it is also, at least when I did it, that's how it's seen in cranial sacral therapy. And this is how the muscles do it with the breath and in holographic breathing. So we're working with that. We're going to work into the back and mainly into the quadratus muscles in the back, which is the muscle at the back. We're also going to come into the front, which is the psoas muscles, and they will balance each other and they will balance the spine. Those muscles, one behind, one in front, balancing each other and creating this up-down motion of the spine with the breath. One of the things that stops people feeling this is from the birth experience, when the baby goes in, or the mother goes into contractions. That is a breath. It's tightening top to bottom and expanding. It's lengthening top to bottom and narrowing. And the baby's in there. The baby's doing the same thing. The baby is being shrunk. It's upside down. Its head's down here. It's being shrunk top to bottom and expanding on the in-breath or on the contraction. And then it's narrowing and lengthening on the out-breath. So the contractions are like an in-breath. And between the contractions are like an out-breath. And in a way, the breath is being imprinted into the baby. If it wasn't for the spine, the baby would just be a mush. It is the spine that is joining the head to the pelvis. And what happens is the chin comes down, the focal point becomes here, so you get a straightens the spine, the pelvis is tucked under, so the spine is straight. And there's this tension and relaxing, and at the very least it's a tensioning and relaxing, but more optimally it's a shortening and lengthening. Breathing in, a shortening, breathing out, a lengthening, and that is what happens in holographic breathing. And my experience of that is that people find that difficult because it takes people into the birth experience, their birth experience. But that is an incredible way of healing your spine for yourself. So we'll be going into that a little bit today. Now, that plays into the diaphragm, gives a deep, the muscles of the diaphragm, I don't know if I've got a picture of that. Well, yeah, I have. So you've got all of these big muscles around the spine. Can you see how they reflect? Can you see how the quadratus muscle, it goes past the diaphragm, continuing to connect the spine, but can you see how it's reflected in the muscles in the diaphragm there, how the different muscles of the diaphragm are reflecting the muscles of the quadratus below it? And also as the psoas muscle comes up, that's also reflected. There's muscles of the diaphragm that look just the same. It moves directly into the diaphragm. And there's another muscle which the pictures I've seen of it are much bigger. But the main, you get, people say, oh, you've got to expand at the sides, the lower ribs. That is not so. You can do that in holographic breathing, but that is reflecting in the lungs. It's your lungs and it's your ribs that are opening to the side to feel your diaphragm. For me, the diaphragm is connected to the abdomen. It's being worked from the abdomen, not from the lungs and the ribs. The main emphasis to pull the diaphragm down is at the back and the connection to the spine. So you can have your awareness in the ribs and open them, and to some extent that will pull the diaphragm down. But you've got muscles from the very top of the diaphragm, top middle of the diaphragm here. Because I can't see it, so I'm having to guess, is here. And then these muscles, and they come right down almost to the bottom of the spine here, but they connect down into the spine. And I did send out, I will send it out in the recordings. There's that animated movement of the bones that I show how the spine shortens and lengthens, and it really shows this muscle here pulling the whole diaphragm into the spine, relaxing, so it shortens and the whole diaphragm pulls down. It lengthens, and it's from the very center back of the diaphragm. So this is major in the diaphragm. So we're going to be working with that, the interplay of the psoas and the quadratus muscles into the diaphragm, and the diaphragm's direct connection to the spine, which again is shortening the spine. The diaphragm pulling down directly onto the spine is having the same effect of shortening the vertebrae. It all conspires to shorten the spine on the in-breath, lengthen the spine on the out-breath. So we're going to work with that. We're going to work the different levels of energy and experience in holographic breathing that aren't available with our normal breathing. And our normal breathing, if you're doing it in a good way, our normal breathing is through the nose and the sinuses. It's not a particularly good idea to mouth breathe. It's good to breathe through the nose and sinuses. Holographic breathing, this is the abdomen. The mouth is the abdomen, the jaw is the pelvis, the roof of the mouth is the diaphragm. So this is connecting you to the lungs and to the breath and to the air. So when we're breathing through the nose, we get the experience of prana, and we get the experience of air or breath, and we get the experience, now it's not real, it's not true, but we get the experience that as the lungs open, that they're hollow, and they're just these two hollow bags filling up with air on the in-breath, emptying of air on the out-breath. That is my experience anyway, when I'm just not particularly doing what we're going to be doing today and just being aware of the breath coming in through the nose. And this gives you a very airy, pranic quality of the lungs expanding on the in-breath, but like bags just filling up with this light material, closing on the out-breath. In reality, lungs, the actual physical material, you know, like they are, I think they've got to be the biggest organ in the body. I mean, they're massive. And I remember someone, I don't know, I think it was on a horse farm, they had some lungs for some reason, I think for dog food or something like that. A bit gross, but they're really heavy. I mean, they're incredibly heavy organ. And you can experience the physicality of the lungs on the in-breath. And there's this there's this force on the in-breath. Either things are shortening as a force, or because of that things are being stretched, and there's a force to it. And what we're going to be working with is not all of the material in the lungs, but very important. COVID is going around at the minute, and it becomes, when it gets bad, it infects the bronchial tubes and the bronchi. We're going to be working with those, and they are physical. And as the diaphragm drops, the lungs are dropping, expanding. So what happens with these bronchi, it's like a tree, and they're all being stretched out. It's like drawing about these little bronchi being stretched out. And it's not like they collapse because it's all opening. There's not more material there. It's all being filled with air. They're not collapsing. They're stretching and staying the same width. So it's like a balloon. When you stretch a balloon, these are made of a cartilage material which can stretch. So it's stretching out all these bronchi on the in-breath, and there's a pull, there's a tension to that. And then on the out-breath it all relaxes. So there's that same thing, there's a stress on the in-breath, but you really get this feeling of exercising your bronchi, which is, we will work on that in the meditation. So I'm giving a lot of information, and I'm not sure we're going to get everything in the meditation. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with the description, other than the lower back, the bottom 4 vertebrae, the psoas muscles, the quadratus muscles are different, they relate to something else, but the psoas muscles relates to the fire circuit, which we're starting next week, and we're going to be working with everything to do with that and conception. We will open that up a bit with the lower back and the psoas muscle and feel a bit the quality: ovaries, testes, prostate, uterus. And we're going to look at how, see, the different levels of the face relate to the different areas of the body. The different areas of the brain relate to the different areas of the body. The different areas of the hands and arms relate to the different areas of the body. The different areas of the feet and legs relate to the different organs and different areas. And at a basic level, in the legs and arms, the lower back of the legs, below the knee, down to the ankle, relates to the lower back. The knee is like the diaphragm. The upper back of the leg is relating more to the back of the thoracic and the back of the ribs. So the lower leg will connect you to the abdomen, or the back of the abdomen and the quadratus muscles. If you come, and that connects into the heel, which will relate you to the pelvis and the sit bones. Then if you come forwards a bit from the heel, that will connect you to the pubic arch, the perineum, the ovaries, testes, uterus and prostate. And the ankles will connect you into the fire circuit, and those lower bones in the leg will connect you into those organs. So the back, the calves will connect you, and the same in the hands. The back of the wrists here, or the underside of the wrists, will connect you to the lower back. The more front side here, I don't know, you know, because now, but this side here will relate more to the abdomen. Then the upper arm is more the chest. So we'll be working how it's holographically connected through the body, but mainly from the legs and arms, and mainly to distinguish between the deep earth energies, which is more the lower back of the leg, and the fire energies, which is more the lower front of the leg. So there's a lot of material there. We've talked about a whole load of stuff I wasn't going to talk about at all, but have done that anyway. All right, I hope all the beginners are back, because I'm going to describe holographic breathing before we actually start doing holographic breathing. So I'm going to, if you aren't back yet, there's no good me talking to you because you aren't here. But as long as, even if you miss this bit, I'll be teaching it in the meditation. But in holographic breathing, the lips are relaxed and closed. The upper surface of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. Tip of the tongue close to or touching the front teeth. The breath is through the nose. And then along with that, on the in-breath, the jaw gently opens. On the out-breath, the jaw gently closes. And within that, the lips stay closed all of the time. Even though the jaw is moving, the lips stay closed, the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth. Now, I'm going to demonstrate that so you can see it is just a very subtle motion, and that it's deeply relaxing. You probably won't even see the movement of the jaw, because it just naturally aligns with the breath through the whole body and is quite small. Even though it's profound, it is small. And whenever I do that, I just move into a deep meditative channeling type space very, very quickly. So I will be talking you through that in the meditation. If this is the first time you've done it, it's quite important to be sitting up through the first part of this, because it's very easy to fall asleep. Doesn't matter if you fall asleep after you've learnt it, but if you fall asleep before it's working and you don't learn holographic breathing, then the whole thing's not going to work. So if this is the first time, it's good to be seated rather than lying down. And then it'll come to a certain point where it should be going, then I'll say it's okay to lie down now if you wish. So if you're new, you want to learn holographic breathing, good to be seated for the first bit. If you don't mind not learning it, then you can lie down, but almost guaranteed you'll fall asleep. Most people do, one way or another, sometime or other in the meditation. All right, and no type of breathing, just easy, relaxed breathing. Okay, let's start. Closing your eyes. And for the new people, just breathing gently. For the people who've learned holographic breathing, dropping into the holographic breathing. We're going to bring in some resources. Sending a smile, sending some energy to the earth. And allowing the earth to say hello back. And notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And sending a smile, sending some energy to the higher self and the beneficial energies. The beneficial energies, any divine energies, any divine teachers, any guides, long as they're beneficial, allowing your channels to come in. And notice what that feels like through your body and through your energies. And asking the earth, the higher self, and the beneficial energies to be with you through the whole webinar as a healing presence, as a guide, and as your resource. Gently breathing, have the lips closed and relaxed, have the tongue relaxed on the roof of the mouth, the tip of the tongue close to or touching the front teeth, the upper surface of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and it can be as much as feels comfortable. Maybe half an inch of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, maybe the whole tongue on the roof of the mouth, or an inch. However, the important thing is it's comfortable. So the lips are closed, the upper surface of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, tip of the tongue close to or touching the front teeth. Breath is through the nose. And then just gently start bouncing the jaw up and down so you have the experience that you can move the jaw and allow yourself to keep the lips closed and the tongue on the roof of the mouth. You don't have to open your lips to open your jaw. It's just a small motion of the jaw, 1/4 of an inch, a few millimeters. It's a small motion, gently opening and closing the jaw. Keep the lips closed, keep the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and breathing through the nose. And then start slowing that motion of the jaw down. And when you feel ready, as the jaw is slowly opening, allow the breath to come in through the nose. And as the jaw is slowly closing, allow the breath to come out through the nose. So at this stage, the emphasis is on the jaw. As the jaw is relaxing open, the breath automatically comes in through the nose. As the jaw relaxes closed, the breath automatically comes out through the nose. The lips stay closed. The tongue stays on the roof of the mouth. Relax the back of the neck, relaxing the back of the head. The jaw relaxes open, the breath comes in through the nose, jaw relaxes closed, the breath leaves through the nose, the lips stay closed all of the time, the tongue stays on the roof of the mouth all of the time. Notice it starts to feel like a bellows. As the jaw is opening, it's drawing the breath in. As the jaw is closing, it's exhaling the breath out. We're now going to change the level and the gestalt. Rather than having the main awareness on the jaw, bringing the awareness to the nose and the breath. And as the breath comes in through the nose, automatically the jaw relaxes open. As the breath comes out through the nose, the jaw automatically closes. Notice how everything becomes much softer, much more meditative. You kind of raise to a different level of energy as it moves from the mouth to the nose and sinuses. Breathing in through the nose, the jaw relaxes open. Breathing out through the nose, the jaw relaxes closed. The lips stay closed all of the time. And we're going to bring the awareness to the chest. As the chest opens, the jaw follows, it opens. As the chest closes, the jaw follows, it closes. Breathing in, the chest opens, the jaw opens. Breathing out, the chest closes, the jaw closes. Notice the energy moving through your brain, through your face. Relaxing the back of the head. There's quite a lot of channeling going on. Relaxing the back of your head, the lower brain. There's a lot of releasing in people's cerebellum area at the back of their brains. Just let that happen. And the whole brain, it activates your brain. Notice how in a very subtle way your face has started to breathe. Your cranium has started to breathe. Your brain has started to breathe. Your neck and throat have started to breathe. Your whole skull and neck have come into a new mode of breathing. They've started to breathe. The chest opens, the jaw opens. The chest closes, the jaw closes. Dropping down to your abdomen. As the abdomen opens, the jaw opens. The abdomen closes, the jaw closes. Your whole torso opening on the in-breath. Your whole torso closing on the out-breath. Deep, profound breath. Notice how your pelvis has started to breathe. You can feel it opening on the in-breath. You can feel it closing on the out-breath. You can feel your arms, legs, hands and feet have started to breathe. Everything is breathing, every cell is breathing. Your brain, your face, your head is breathing, your neck is breathing. Every cell is breathing. So if you're new and you want to lie down, you can do that. Now that the holographic breathing is going, you can lie down. And if you're seated, you also need to be able to let your arms and legs stretch out, because we will need that for the breathing motion, the hands, legs and feet. So we'll start with the feet, continuing with the holographic breathing. As you breathe in, pulling the toes up, kind of flapping the feet up. And breathe out, letting the feet relax down. Breathing in, letting the letting the feet flap up. Breathing out, letting the feet relax down. And then become aware of the heels at the back of the feet. So not only do the toes and feet pull up at the front, the heel pulls up into the calf. And rather than the foot flapping up now, you pull up from the heel, you pull up from the toes. The foot stays flat, it just flattens on the in-breath. And then cups on the out-breath, just relaxes on the out-breath. Tenses and flattens on the in-breath. relaxes and slightly cups on the out-breath. This will give you a deep and long breath through your diaphragm. You'll feel a tightening through the front of the legs, pulling the front of the feet up. You'll feel a tightening through the back of the legs, pulling the heels up. And the foot will flatten on the in-breath. The foot will relax and cup on the out-breath. Gives you a long, slow breath. Notice how it changes your breath when you include this tightening and relaxing of the legs, opening and closing of the feet. And doing the same with the hands. The hands are flattening, there's a tension through the arms. The hands are relaxing and cupping, the arms relax. So on the in-breath, the muscles are tensing. Hands and feet flatten. The out-breath, the muscles are relaxing. The hands and feet relax and cup. Relax the back of the neck. Relax the back of the jaw. Notice how this aligns with the jaw. The diaphragm is pulling down, pulling the lungs down, pulling the esophagus down, pulling the hyoid bone under the jaw down, pulling the jaw and tongue down. Breathing out, it's all relaxing, and the jaw relaxes closed. The tongue stays on the roof of the mouth all of the time. So the hands, feet, arms and legs align with the jaw. The jaw is balancing with the back of the head. Notice how you can connect the heels, the hands and feet into the back of the head. The back of the head is being pulled down, the jaw is being pulled down, they balance on the spine. Spine shortens as you breathe in. Spine lengthens as you breathe out. If you can feel that, notice, not everyone feels it straight away, but if you feel that, the spine shortening, you'll notice the lungs and abdomen really open as the spine shortens. And as the spine lengthens, the lungs and abdomen contract. And dropping down into the lower spine, lower back of the spine, and the quadratus muscles, which are rising from the top crest of the pelvis. These are connecting the pelvis and the legs to the spine. It's connecting to all of those lower vertebrae. So it's a bit like the legs are tightening, the pelvis tightening, the quadratus muscles tightening, the legs and feet are being pulled up into the spine on the in-breath. Legs and feet are dropping away from the spine on the out-breath. You can feel that, or you can just feel a gentle tension in the lower back as you breathe in. Integrating above it and below it. And a relaxing of the lower back and quadratus muscles on the out-breath. Notice as you feel this in the lower back, you get this really nice opening of the abdomen. As it all relaxes, the abdomen relaxes and empties. You can connect this to the calf muscles in the legs, below, back of the legs, below the knees, down to the ankles. Notice how the lower legs relate to the lower back. And also the back, kind of the fleshy part of the arms from the elbows to the wrists. Relate to the abdomen. Get this breathing in your lower back, breathing in your abdomen. Notice how the heels connect you to the sit bones and the pelvis. And the heels of the hands connect you to the sit bones and the pelvis. And if you come forwards from the heels of the hands and the heels of the pelvis, maybe an inch or so, notice how everything warms up. You move out of the back of the body. And start moving more center and forwards in the body. As you move forwards in the hands and feet, you move forwards in the body. And it, rather than connecting to the calf muscles, connects to the ankles, the wrists, the front of the ankles and front of the wrists. And notice it has a warm energy. You may feel your body warming up. It connects you to the pubic arch, the pelvic floor, the perineum, the uterus, the prostate, the ovaries and testes. Notice you start feeling this fire. You're moved into a different element. Feel this warm fire in your body. And start healing the uterus and prostate, the ovaries and testes. And notice the energy change when you move into the organs. Before we were in the muscles and bones, but notice now we've moved into the organs. It's a whole different energy. It relates to the tongue, relates to all of the organs, and it relates to the brain, which is also an organ. Got a different energy to the bones and muscles. As you come slightly forwards in the foot, then into the sides of the ankles, front of the ankles, sides of the wrists, front of the wrists. Feel this warm energy. The pubic arch starts heating up. Ovaries start heating up. Testes, prostate, uterus all become activated. You can feel this heat rising through the center of the bones in the legs. It also rises from the uterus and prostate up to the Hara, just below the navel, into the navel, to the heart. Notice how you can feel the heart and your blood supply. And as you move up to the heart, notice it's moved to the upper arm. You come into the chest, it moved from the lower leg to the upper leg, from the lower arms to the upper arms, the front and bones of the upper leg and arms relating to the center of your chest and the heart. Also relates to the nasal passageways, to the lower front of the cranium, the hypothalamus in the brain, the fire circuit, top of the shoulders, top of the hips, grounded into the ovaries and testes as the paired organs, grounded into the uterus and prostate as the central kundalini. And this relates to the psoas muscle. Starts in the back of the legs, but it loops forwards over the front sides of the pubic arch, then back to the top of the pelvis, the lower back, and it flattens against the quadratus muscle. So you've got the deep dark energies of the quadratus muscles at the back, and you've got the fire energies of the psoas muscles at the front. So you've got the muscles and bones breathing, and you may start feeling it, this tension in the lower back on the in-breath and the spine shortening, then relaxing of the lower back on the out-breath and the spine lengthening, and the psoas and the quadratus muscles balancing this movement in the spine. And these bottom 4 vertebrae might start also glowing red. They relate to the fire circuit. You can let this fire burn through your whole body. Then if you drop back into the heels, hands and feet, sit bones, quadratus muscles, back of the head, back of the jaw. Notice how you cool down. Everything becomes much deeper, darker. This is the green energy or deep earth energies. Very strong, grounded energy. Notice you've come out of the fire circuit. You're in the deep earth energies circuit. These also relate to the lower spine and the back of the sacrum. And if you come up to the knees and knees and elbows, these relate to the diaphragm. Feel the diaphragm pulling down on the in-breath. Diaphragm rising on the out-breath. In the face, the diaphragm is the roof of the mouth. In the brain, the diaphragm is the tentorium, divides upper and lower brain. all breathes. And if you rise up to the outside of the legs, upper thighs, outside of the upper legs, outside of the upper arms, notice how this brings you into your lungs. You get this deep pranic breath of the lungs, and it brings you into the middle of the face. Notice how you've come into the nasal passageways and sinuses, the middle of the brain, come into the cranial fluid. This pranic energy. So there's the pranic breath in the lungs, orchestrated from the upper arms and legs, nasal passageways and sinuses. But if you come back down into the lower legs, lower arms, and the knees and elbows, especially the knees and elbows, will activate. See, the knees and elbows, they're cartilage. They will activate the yellow energies and the cartilage, tendons, through the whole body. And notice how it's not so light, it's not the breath in the lungs, it's more solid. It's the bronchi and bronchial tubes. So the lower arms and legs and the elbows and knees. And you feel all of the bronchial tubes. You've got the trachea coming down from the hyoid bone below the jaw. It divides into two sides and you get this tree of hollow tubes. The diaphragm drops down. Be aware of the ankle, the knees, the elbows, lower arms, lower legs. Draws the diaphragm down. The ribs will automatically open. You feel all of the bronchi stretching out and lengthening. And the more physicality of the lungs, the physical membranes of the lungs, the physicality of the bronchial tubes, stretching as you breathe in. Relaxing as you breathe out. So this may be really quite complicated for people, especially the new people, just doing it to the best of your ability. And if you're just starting, just doing holographic breathing is quite enough. You breathe in those bronchial tubes and bronchi stretching and stretching. They stay open, they don't thin, they stretch. Breathing out the bronchi and bronchial tubes shortening and relaxing, the physicality of the lungs. Then at the end of each bronchial tube, there's lots of little air sacs that fill with air on the in-breath. Relax on the out-breath. Notice that brings you up. As soon as you feel the air sacs, it brings you up to the sinuses and nasal passageways, the top of the legs, the lungs, the top of the arms, and you more experience the air and the breath. As soon as you're in the air sacs, you change level. Changes from the cartilage and yellow energy to the breath and the lung energy circuit. Notice now it just feels like breath opening and closing through the lungs, feeling the upper, outer arms and upper, outer legs. You feel all the air sacs opening and closing. lung circuit. We might as well carry on. I wasn't going to, but we'll go through the last remaining energies. Coming up to the top of the arms and legs on the outside. Notice how the energies change. This brings you into the blue energies, kidneys, adrenals, bladder, urethra, vagina, penis. Top of the arms, top of the legs, round to the groin at the front, running to the underside of the pubic arch, the sit bones forwards to the underside of the pubic arch and groin area, and in the arms the collarbones. In the face, the cheekbones, in the head, the forehead, and around the ears, the blue energies. Notice you've moved into a different energy, being aware of your kidneys and adrenals. It's also the back, outside of the shoulder blades, top outside of the shoulder blades. Notice your kidneys being activated, your adrenals being activated, and this blue energy. Top of the legs, top of the arms. Raised up in the face to the cheekbones and the forwards, frontal bone, forehead, the cranium, round the ears in the cranium as well. Get the energy of the kidneys, adrenals, and then this comes down and earth through the bladder, vagina, penis, and urethra. The blue energies. I love this energy, my word. It feels so good. Very sexual, or it's sexuality transforming, the quality of sexuality as it's transforming. You get this, all of the organs have sexuality, but this is quite strong sexuality of the penis and vagina. Letting that energy melt and transform through your whole body. I just love that circuit, my word, it's just gorgeous. This will heal through the nervous system, the pleura, the myelinating glial cells, the myelin sheath, the nervous system. Rising up into the hip joints, into the shoulder joints, to the top of the pelvis, to the top of the crests of the pelvis, top inside of the shoulder blades, the eyes, top of the head. You move into the brain and higher energy circuit. Notice how everything becomes very light. You get a connection to the divine energies. The ethmoid between the eyes and this bright white energy ascending through the top of your head up into the divine. This is the brain, the cerebellum, and it's also the arms and legs are part of this circuit. And the TMJs are part of this circuit. Another lovely, they're all lovely. They all have their different qualities. They all relate to different vertebrae. They're all part of our being, part of our whole energies. And breathe. This is what I'm teaching in holographic breathing, of this energy healing system. Heals you through and through. Letting all of those energies intermingle, move back and forwards, in and out of each other, nourishing each other, moving up and down through the body. The brain also connects directly to the deep earth energies. The arms and legs also ground the brain and cerebellum. As all of those energies intermingle, the crown chakra opens and transcendence starts. You start becoming a viewer. Letting your chest melt, letting your arms and legs melt, letting everything melt. Especially the shoulder joints and hip joints. And the chest, the lungs. Everything integrating, everything grounding. Everything relaxing. Allowing everything to earth. And breathe. There's a channel, it's not like a bright channel, it's just a knowing, a divine knowledge. I think for me it's the divine knowledge around this healing system. For you it may be anything, but there's some kind of correspondence with divine teachers, divine energies, divine matrix, human matrix aligned with the same matrix in the divine, in the higher energies. Those energies in us, organs in us, matrix in us, aligning with those matrices, teachers, divine energies of the subtle realms and higher self. And the ability for healing ourselves, complete healing. And definitely allowing the lungs to breathe. Okay, we're gonna come back in about a minute. And sending a thank you to the earth. Sending a thank you to the higher self and thanking yourself. Letting the energies go off for love and healing to the earth. For love and healing to the higher self and the beneficial energies. Also thanking the beneficial energies. I forgot to thank the beneficial energies. Thanking the higher self and the beneficial energies and divine teachers, divine matrices, and your own mirrored matrices. Letting the energy go off for love and healing to the higher self, beneficial energies. And allowing yourself to be loved and healed. And letting the energies go out to all sentient beings for love and healing. And allowing yourself to be loved and healed. And when you feel ready, gently allowing yourself to come back. Whoa. Well, I wasn't really expecting to do all of that, but that was just the way it went. I think because we're starting another round of working with the different levels of energy next Sunday, I just think the guides that bring that through just came through in spades, and that is where we went. Quite often in these webinars and when I'm doing individual sessions, there is kind of what I think is going to happen and what does actually happen are two separate things. And you have to be open to that and you have to allow that. So we did all of that, and we will be working in depth at a new level with the fire energies. I know we've run that circuit before, but they're always another level up each time we come back to them. It takes about a year to do the circuit and come back to the different energies, but we've done so much work in that year. We're addressing it at a new level, and the whole immunology is quite new, and it's very potent because obviously ovaries, testis, uterus and prostate has a lot to do with conception, and also the heart, Hara, is very primary in that evolution. So we've got that. It's been an absolute joy and privilege to be with you all again. It always is. It always brings me to a new level. I always see it in a new way. So deeply, deeply thank you. And come next week. I'll put out the links. The webinars are on my website. It says advanced webinars. It's the second one down is the fire energies. The therapist trainings on the top. Second one down is that. All right, anyway, I think everyone's leaving now anyway, so one last goodbye from everyone.